The myth of the lottery ticket. Let me tell you something that might sound harsh, but it is the key to unlocking the wealth you deserve. Financial luck does not exist. Not in the way you think it does. For years, I watched successful people, doctors, engineers, mid-level executives, my upper middle class clients spin their wheels, waiting for the big market break, waiting for the promotion that would change everything, waiting for the perfect real estate deal to just appear. They were treating wealth acquisition like a cosmic random number generator RNG. They believed that if they just kept pressing the button, working hard, saving a little, eventually, a massive payout, a jackpot moment would drop into their lap. This belief is the single most insidious form of self-sabotage. It keeps you passive. It justifies stagnation. It prevents you from taking responsibility for the design of your life. When I was still managing large-scale infrastructure, we didn't wait for luck to keep the servers running. We built redundancy. We implemented fail-safe. We engineered stability. We designed a predictable system where the output's reliable service, high uptime were the direct and inevitable result of sophisticated inputs. The moment I applied that system's logic to my personal finances, everything changed. I stopped seeing financial success as a matter of chance and started seeing it as a matter of input-output pipeline design. The definition of luck used by wealthy people is simple: preparedness meeting opportunity. But you can't just wait for opportunity to wander past your front door. You have to build a system strong enough to pull that opportunity in, process it, and convert it into leverage. If you haven't engineered the pipeline, even the greatest opportunity in the world will hit a bottleneck, cause a system crash, and disappear. It won't look like bad luck. It will look like an opportunity you just weren't ready for. And trust me, that pain is far worse than realizing you simply didn't win the lottery. Because in that moment, you realize the system was the problem, and you were the architect. We have to begin the redesign today, and like any major system overhaul, we start by checking the foundation, the code that's currently running in the background. Debugging the financial operating system mindset. Every single person watching this is running financial software written by someone else. Maybe it was written by your parents, by cultural norms, or by misleading personal finance gurus. In the world of systems, we call this legacy code. This code runs deep. It's the silent scripting that dictates your spending triggers, your risk tolerance, and, most damagingly, your capacity to handle large amounts of money. I had a client, David, highly successful architect, earned $350,000 a year, but he was consistently broke. Why? He had what I call the scarcity loop running in his financial. His father had struggled through recessions and always preached, if you have it, spend it, because it'll be gone soon anyway. That belief was David's financial legacy code. Every time he received a large bonus, the input, his system would trigger the programmed output. Massive. Immediate spending on depreciating assets, new truck, expensive vacations, to get rid of it before the inevitable collapse. He was effectively programmed to stay at zero, regardless of his earnings. He was building incredible real-world structures, but his personal financial architecture was built on sand, designed for immediate destruction. You cannot attract major opportunities, the ones that truly look like luck. If your internal system is hardwired for fear and instability, big luck requires a stable foundation. The debugging process starts with ruthless self-honesty. What are the 3 beliefs you hold about money right now? Write them down. Are they serving the person you are today, or the impoverished mindset of the person who first wrote that code decades ago? If you find yourself constantly sabotaging financial success, whether through frivolous spending, a memory leak, or avoiding crucial investment decisions, a system freeze, you need an immediate operating system update. This update involves replacing the legacy code with active forward-looking scripting. Hold on for a sec. Let's make this actionable right now. Close your eyes briefly. Think of the last time you felt guilty about making a big purchase that was actually an investment, of course, a piece of equipment, a business expense. That guilt, that's legacy code firing. You must reprogram that response to, this is a calculated allocation of capital for future scaling. Debugging the OS is painful, but mandatory. End pattern interrupts. We must install the core financial OS modules immediately. And the first, most crucial module is the financial firewall. the architecture of readiness, the technical foundation. Think of a major tech company launching a new product. They don't just hope their existing setup can handle the traffic. They over-provision, they build redundant systems, they construct a server farm designed for scale and resilience. In finance, your server farm is your liquidity and your stability. Financial luck only appears to those who have the capacity stable, readily available capital to process high-value opportunities when they arrive. The moment 2008 hit, who were the lucky people? Not those who were highly leveraged, counting on growth. It was those who had liquid capital sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the massive, unprecedented fire sale on real estate and equities. That wasn't luck. That was preparedness, meeting a zero-day exploit crisis for which the general public had no patch. If you are currently carrying high-interest consumer debts, your financial server is running at 100% load, constantly overheating, just trying to process daily operations. You have zero capacity for innovation or expansion. To create the environment for luck, you must build the 4 layers of your server farm. 1. The cold storage emergency fund, 6 to 12 months of living expenses, untouchable, protecting against inevitable hardware failure, job loss, medical emergency. This is your financial firewall. Without it, any opportunity you chase will come with an unacceptable level of existential risk. 2. The high availability cash opportunity capital. This is different from your emergency fund. This is $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, liquid cash earmarked specifically for opportunistic investments. A pre-foreclosure property, a discounted stock buy during a momentary dip, or the ability to invest in a friend's quickly scaling business. This capital is the lubricant for luck. 3. The infrastructure backbone debt reduction, aggressively eliminating all high interests, non-strategic debt. Every dollar freed from interest payments is a dollar that can be put into the opportunity capital cash, dramatically increasing the speed of your financial processor. For the redundancy system, diversified income, relying on a single source of income, is the ultimate single point of failure. Luck accelerates when you have multiple income streams, ensuring that a crash in one area doesn't take down the entire system. You need to feel the security of having more resources than the opportunity requires. When you see an amazing deal, you shouldn't have to scramble, beg, or liquidate core assets. The server farm must be ready to scale instantly. This readiness is what the outside world misinterprets as effortless luck. Increasing your bandwidth, cognitive capacity, and up. We all have a finite amount of processing power, cognitive bandwidth, every day. The mental energy you spend worrying about small debts, managing confusing subscription services, or arguing about minor household expenses is bandwidth that is stolen from strategic decisions. This is the tyranny of the small. I want you to think about all the small, persistent drains on your system. We call these memory leaks. These are the automatic renewals, the streaming services you never use, the daily $7 coffees, the small credit card balances that sit individually, they are negligible. Collectively, they drain your available RAM, your cognitive capital, and liquidity. A severe memory leak doesn't just cost money. It slows your system down to a crawl. If you spend 3 hours every weekend managing minor financial clutter, those 3 hours are taken away from researching a new investment sector or networking with a Hevelio contact. Your first step in clearing bandwidth is deep. Defragmentation in IT is the process of tidying up the hard drive so the system can access files faster. In finance, this means consolidating debt, simplifying your investment strategy, avoiding too many high-maintenance products, and ruthlessly eliminating bloatware are the pre-installed, unnecessary subscriptions and lifestyle expectations that come with the upper-middle-class default setting, the luxury car payment, the country club membership you use twice a year, the excessive insurance policies. These are mental anchors. When you clear the bloatware and stop the memory leaks, 2 things happen. 1. Liquidity increases. Small amounts of capital are freed up and can be redirected to the opportunity cash. 2. Cognitive bandwidth increases. You stop spending mental energy on maintenance and start spending it on strategy. You gain the headspace to notice opportunities. The market signals that once seemed too complex or too risky suddenly become clear because your processor isn't overloaded. Financial peace is not a luxury. It is the prerequisite for financial luck. When you have peace, you have focus. When you have focus, you have the ability to execute on high leverage opportunities faster than 95% of the population, who are still drowning in the noise of their own financial chaos. This is the goal. A clean screen. Focus on the few inputs that generate the maximum output. If it isn't serving your core wealth algorithm, it needs to be deleted, quarantined, or outsourced. End pattern interrupts. Proactive patching. Zero-day opportunities. We must stop treating market downturns and global crises as interruptions to our wealth journey, and start treating them as scheduled, albeit chaotic opportunities. In a TA, zero-day exploit is a vulnerability discovered by hackers before the vendor has a chance to create a patch. When a crisis hits the financial markets, a pandemic, a housing crash, or even localized industry collapse, the unprepared majority suffers the full extent of the damage. They are the systems that have no patch. They crash hard. The system architect, however, sees the exploit as a moment of massive advantage, provided they have already built their defense and stored their offense. Your defense is your server farm, Chapter 3. Your offense is your mindset and your ability to execute quickly. When the market crashes, the amateur investor panics, sells at the bottom, and starts running that old scarcity loop legacy code. The engineered investor, the person who creates their own luck, sees prices reduced, volatility at a peak, and understands that this is the moment capital is most highly rewarded. This requires proactive patching. You need to simulate disaster scenarios before they happen. Run stress tests on your portfolio. Ask yourself, if my primary income dropped 50% tomorrow, how quickly could I access my opportunity capital? And what investment would I buy at its depressed price? I had a client in 2020 who had spent 2 years building up a $40,000 opportunity cash. When the market went south, while everyone else was frozen in fear, he deployed that capital into blue chip stocks at valuations we hadn't seen in a decade. He understood that the moment of maximum pain for the average person was his moment of maximum leverage. He gained more capital in 8 weeks than he had in the previous 2 years of grinding walls at luck. No. He performed the proactive patching required to survive the initial shock, and he had the ready capital to exploit the weakness in the broader system. Luck favors the tactical, not the optimistic. It favors the person who has already written the execution script and is just waiting for the trigger event to run the code. The network effect of financial luck API integration. In the modern world, complex systems rarely operate in isolation. They connect through API integrations, application programming interfaces, allowing different software systems to communicate and share data seamlessly. Your wealth journey operates the same way. You are a single machine, but your potential output is dramatically amplified by integrating with other high-value nodes. Your network is not just your social circle. It is your financial distributed computing system. The great myth of the lone wolf entrepreneur is dangerous. True luck often arrives packaged as a piece of information, an introduction, or access to a closed deal. These opportunities flow through networks, not through isolation. If you are the smartest financial person in every room you enter, you are in the wrong room. You are not integrating with high-value nodes. You are the highest functioning node in a low-capacity system. Financial success often hinges on knowing the one person who can tell you about the distressed property before it hits the EMA, or the one person who knows the right lawyer for a complex trust setup, or the one person who's looking for a co-founder with your exact technical expertise. This isn't about being transactional. It's about being valuable. You must offer high-value integration points for others. What knowledge, capital, or specific expertise do you bring to the network? One spent years cultivating a small, tight circle of fellow professionals, a real estate developer, a tax accountant, and a high-risk venture capitalist. My luckiest deal wasn't finding a great investment myself. It was being connected by my developer friend to an off-market multifamily unit purchase that required rapid, specialized financing. Because my system, Chapter 3, was ready, I had the opportunity capital and the clean bandwidth I could execute instantly when the API pinged. The relationship was the conduit for the luck. My readiness was the engine. The actionable step here is intentional connection. Allocate specific bandwidths every week to connecting with people operating at least one level above you in terms of scale and influence. Ask strategic questions. Be prepared to listen more than you talk. Provide value immediately. This isn't networking. It's designing a mesh network for maximum information flow and opportunistic cooperation. I remember feeling intimidated joining groups with people worth 10 or 20 times what my old legacy code was firing, telling me I didn't belong. But I realized they weren't looking for another star. They were looking for reliable infrastructure. When I showed up not asking for a favor, but offering clean, reliable data and a clear perspective on IT strategy, I became a valuable node. You don't need to be rich to be valuable. You need to be reliable and strategic. That's the real API key end pattern interrupt. The final algorithm, compounding preparedness. If you take nothing else from this deep dive, take this. Financial luck is the compounding interest of consistent, intentional preparedness. The person who appears lucky in 5 years is not the one who hit a sudden home run. It's the one who implemented the server farm chapter 3, eliminated the memory leaks chapter 4, and built the strategic network chapter 6 5 years ago, and then let those systems run. The biggest mistake I see the upper middle class make is the assumption that their hard work is enough. Hard work fills the tank. System design determines the destination and the speed. We must stop treating our finances like a car we occasionally take to the mechanic and start treating them like the mission-critical system they are. You are the chief architect, the systems administrator, and your wealth is not a matter of hope or chance. It is a measurable, predictable output of the efficiency and robustness of your financial architecture. To lock this in, I want you to run 3 checks every single week. This is your permanent maintenance protocol. 1. The code audit mindset check. Review your limiting beliefs. Did you hesitate this week on an opportunity because of fear or because of data? If it was fear, trace it back to the legacy code and rewrite the scripts. 2. The system load check bandwidth, liquidity. How much cash is in the opportunity cache right now? Have I identified any new memory leaks or bloatware, unnecessary subscriptions, or complexity that need immediate elimination? If your bandwidth is clogged, your processor speed drops, and you miss the market flash. 3. The API health check network engagement. Who did I connect with this week? Who operates at a higher scale? Did I offer value, or did I simply consume? Am I building a network that can feed me off-market opportunities, or am I waiting for public listings? When you execute these checks consistently, you transition from being the passenger in your financial life to being the pilot. You move from the chaos of the RNG to the clarity of the algorithm. Remember David, the architect, who was constantly running the scarcity loop. After 6 months of rigorous debugging, building his server farm, and forcing himself into high-value networks, he didn't win the lottery. He was invited to partner on a massive development deal because he had the $80,000 opportunity cash ready today, and he had the clear head to understand the complex legal structure. His luck was manufactured. It was the predictable result of optimal system performance. This is your mission. Stop hoping. Start building the next great opportunity. The luck factor you've been waiting for is only waiting for you to finish constructing the architecture required to host it. Go debug your life. Go engineer your destiny.